Alright, hi guys, welcome. Kevin here from DataNav. So I want to discuss about one of the most skeptical topics when it comes to technology and fiber technology, internet technology in Kenya. And I want to talk about one of the companies that has been facing a lot of issues when it comes to provision of fiber services to its clients. That company is Zuku. So Zuku has been in the limelight for the poorest customer care ever, and also a bit of some poor services when it comes to internet provision. And I want to discuss maybe an overview of actually why they have poor services. And as you well know, Zuku has been in the industry for over a decade now. Zuku was formed around 2008. They're actually owned by Wananchi Group, which is actually a Kenyan firm. And Zuku is actually spread far because it has services in Zambia, Uganda, Malawi, I think also Tanzania. They also have services in Tanzania. And they were actually the first company to provide fiber services here in Kenya and actually across those countries that I've talked about. So Zuku, when Zuku came into the industry, they did the fiber distribution to the major estates in Kenya. They know those high-end estates, the likes of Milimani, Kilimani, Lavington, Runda, all those high-end estates, and actually Langata. And from statistics, the number of clients or the clients who actually complain a lot actually are from the same high-end estates. Okay, newer Zuku clients actually have less and less complaints, and there's a reason for that. So since Zuku was started its distribution back into the high-end estates, the cost of implementation for the Zuku, for the fiber, was actually pretty high. Since also they were the first company to come into Kenya to provide the fiber services, the costings were really high back then. And you can remember this is back in 2008, 2009. So costs were very, very high. The cost of pulling fiber cable throughout all throughout the country, those estates was actually very high. And actually the cost of actually getting that fiber into your own house was really higher back then. I do not remember the actual the actual figure back then, but it was really high. It was ranging, I think the minimum was around 15 or something. 15,000 for you to have internet in your house. So one major I won't call it blunder, but one major decision that actually has been affecting Zuku till date was the technology that they actually used to pull in the fiber to the homesteads. You see, fiber has two technologies. There are actually two known technologies that are used by companies to pull in fiber. And one technology is known as HFC, that is a hybrid fiber coaxial, right? And the other one is a FTTH, fiber to the home. Okay, those are the two technologies that are actually used by companies to pull in fiber. So Zuku, during the implementation, they chose the first technology, the HFC, that is the hybrid fiber coaxial. So what does this mean? It's a mixture of fiber and coaxial cables together to provide internet service. Okay, so Zuku would actually do this. Zuku would pull in fiber from the headquarters or from their terminal points where they're actually distributing the internet from. That will be somewhere, let's say Mombasa Road or anywhere, somewhere like that. From their source, they would pull all the way using the full fiber cables. A fiber cable is a very, very thin cable, but when you're doing bulk distribution, it's actually pretty thick. So they would pull all that, and they will pull it to a specific point. Okay, they will pull it to a specific point. Then from that point, they will pull. You now pull the signal using coaxial cable. Coaxial cable is simply the cable that you actually use to connect your TV set and your aerial. That white cable, yes, that's what they actually use. So you can imagine they pull complete fiber up to a certain point. Then from that point, they pull via coaxial cables. So what does this mean? This technically means this service is not fully fiber, because the latter companies that came later, we're talking about JTL and Safaricom and Liquid Telecom, they all used the second technology that I spoke about, the FTTH, that's the fiber to home. So what does this fiber to home actually means? There's no point where they're using the coaxial cable. And there's a reason why companies chose not to use the coaxial cables. There is a very, very major reason. And why they made the major reasons they made to the other companies avoided FTTH, they avoided the coaxial cable, was because of the inefficiency of the coaxial cable in its distribution of this internet signal. If you remember correctly, JTL came later after Zuku. Also JTL, they redistributed their signal to the high-end estates. Again, they went back to Runda, Kilimani, Milimani, Lavington areas. And up to date, if you may notice, JTL is not fully covered across the country. It is still centralized in those areas, because fiber to home is actually pretty expensive too. And if you remember correctly, JTL, they used to charge, they used to have a high costing for you to have it in your house. Also, I think it was ranging in the 15,000 for you to get internet. One of the major reasons now, as you can see, why Zuku is so slow is how they implemented the fiber to the house. So one disadvantage, as you can see, one disadvantage of coaxial, the HFC, the hybrid fiber coaxial kind mode of transport, is inefficiency of the coaxial cables. For one, coaxial cable has a lot of electromagnetic interference with electricity and other appliances. So one, the speed is degraded, right? You don't get the full actual speeds that you're supposed to get. Okay. Two, coaxial cable cannot be pulled longer than a mile. A mile is the most is actually the highest that it can be pulled, but Zuku will actually extend that kind of length to in other areas, whereby because again, the full fiber pulling, the full fiber infrastructure is actually still also expensive. So they used to make it up to a certain point, then pull with coaxial further into the areas. One area that is majorly affected by such a pull is the Langata area. Langata area here, Langata Road. That whole section, they actually did a lot of coaxial. They did one major fiber pull, then they did a lot of coaxial. And again, coaxial cannot carry a lot of speed when it comes to internet speeds, cannot do a lot of speeds. So when it comes to bandwidth allocation, with coaxial is very, very tricky. It's very, very tricky. It's not a very, very straightforward thing. So it also affects your speeds. Most speeds, download speeds can be better, can be good, but upload speeds, they're really bad with coaxial cabling. They're really bad. The technology is still being used by Zuku. Now that's one other major problem that they do have. They have not upgraded those areas to the full fiber. Zuku currently, the current new players, the current new homes they're installing, or the current new areas that they're gaining insight to, they're actually using the the full fiber to home, FTTH. They're actually using now. They actually got rid of the HFC. They got rid, for new areas, they got rid of HFC. So they're doing FTTH. But for the old areas, they still have HFC. till date. Another thing, the HFC, for the routers that they used at that particular time, of which these routers they have actually not replaced in very many homesteads, they have not replaced this kind of routers that they used back in 2008 for internet connection. The routers are still present till today, and if they do, and if you have an issue with the router, they will actually come and replace it with an older model. They don't have new models for the same. So this kind of router also, it had inbuilt antennas which were not strong. Okay, so you actually get where your router is placed, only a section of your living room has actually the connection, and maybe part of other areas, but most areas of your house you actually would have no connection. So that's also one of the things that actually affects Zuku's performance. So as you can see, we have the technology used, routers used, and for them to actually perform better in these areas, they need to upgrade from HFC to FTTH, which also is another expensive expenditure to them. And for them to they have to redo all the cabling, have to pull in the things, dig this stuff down, pull up. So it's a very expensive affair for them, and I don't believe they're planning on doing the same. I do bet maybe they have such kind of, they have the idea in plan, but maybe execution is becoming a challenge. But the new areas that they're going into, they're using the FTTH. So that's one thing that is making Zuku not to actually switch over these estates. So for now, users in these estates will continue facing challenges. They'll continue facing low speeds and latency issues. Those are some of the those are some of the reasons why Zuku is pretty slow. Maybe we can cut them some slack, but until they upgrade the infrastructure for those areas, users will continue to experience such, and it will not change anytime soon. It will not change anytime soon. So if you're a Zuku user, if you want better speeds, maybe you better switch to another provider, or maybe you can stick with Zuku, or maybe you can do an online campaign and have them change the infrastructure. You never know. Social media changes lives, so you can try. All right, thank you. Have a good one.